Welcome to the guide to how to play Jade. So we will go through the abilities real quick. Her left click, 6 shots,
Ultimate ready.
4 damage each, 1 second reload time. Right click, snipe, 1.6 second cast time, 38 damage, hits multiple targets but has damage reduction. Spacebar is a mobility skill. It does stun and damage on the place where you started your jump, but there's no damage on impact on landing, only at the start of your jump. Right. Now your Q makes you go into stealth. You can shoot during the stealth, but enemies will see your projectiles if you shoot it, much like how they will see your disabling shot as well. And if you use the jump, they will also see that. They will see projectiles, they will see your disabling shot, they will see your jump. But one thing to notice, during stealth, your enemies can still hear you locking in, loading the bullets for your snipe, right? So if you start your snipe during the stealth, enemies can anticipate when the bullet's gonna come, they can counter it and such. So be careful with that. Now, the disabling shot is an interrupt. The enemy uses a spell during the interrupt, they'll get silenced. However, it has a snare on impact, so they don't need to trigger the spell block. And it gives 7% energy, so it's pretty good to make sure you always land your disabling shot. It's good energy gain, and even if they don't get silenced, they still get snared. It's pretty insane. Now, R. It's knockback, AoE damage. It's pretty cool. It fires 3 shots, and I believe it is a shotgun. So if you only land 2 shots, it will do 12 damage. If you land 3 shots, it does 18 damage. If 1, then you only do 6 damage. Let me just kill these real quick so they'll spawn later. Now, your ulti fires 4 shots, and each shot will explode on impact, dealing 30 damage, and will have an AoE that deals 20 damage. Right? Look at this. This guy will die first, and the other 2 will take 20 damage.
Time's up.
Right? Now, if it doesn't impact anything, it still explodes, and does 20 damage AoE damage to whoever's in the explosion radius.
Eat this.
Right? So it's good for detecting invis targets, or just chasing targets in general. Now, shift abilities. Right click. Shift right click turns into a root. It does 12 damage each. To each target, there's no reduction in damage, and they root it for 1.5 seconds. Basically combo. You can use spells and all that. It's pretty good for chasing targets. Yeah. And your shift stealth turns into immaterial for you and your teammates for 2 seconds. That's pretty long. Note that the longest stun in the game is 2 seconds. And generally, immaterial lasts for like 1 to 1.5, 1.6 seconds. Great. Generally, as I was saying, immaterials don't last for that long. So an AoE immaterial for 2 seconds is pretty insane. But the problem is the AoE is kinda small. So if you want to get your teammates, and in a situation where it's actually going to be useful, it's rare. It doesn't come by very easily. So that's all of her skills. Now, how the skills actually work. Right, so right click, even though it's an AoE, it's damage reduction. It stuns on impact. But the thing is, the long charge time and the predictability of where you're going to land it renders the skill not very viable. Generally, you want to use your stealth, then you aim your snipe. Even though your enemies can hear you locking in your snipe during your stealth, they can't tell where you are. It's not like CSGO where, oh okay, it's kind of like CSGO, you can hear where they lock it, but you don't know where they are exactly, like which direction it's coming from. So it's okay to try and land snipes during yourself. But generally you just wanna bait out enemy blocks, enemy counters with your snipe. Right. Now spacebar. Against ranged heroes, you can just use it whatever to dodge the skill shots because it has a pretty long iframe. Yeah. Dodge skill shots, dodge ultis, dodge like fucking croak, poison, ulti, explosion, 38 damage. Yeah. But if you're playing against melee heroes, you want to make sure you land the stun before you run away. Especially if you take the Battlerite that increases the stun duration. It's pretty important. This extra damage gives you energy gain, and you create distance between you and the melee hero if you land the stun damage. If you don't land the damage, you get no energy. See, my energy is not going up. You get no energy. If you land it, you get energy. So try and land your stun if you're gonna use it. Unless you're playing against ranged heroes, then it doesn't matter, just dodge skill shots with it. Invis generally uses his escape skill. So you don't want to shoot during your invis unless you took those specific Battlerite that work and it synergizes with invis a lot. So you want to shoot during it. Otherwise you don't. Unless you have the advantage, you have say HP advantage against your opponent. Or your opponent has already used most of his or her skills. Then you can shoot during invis. It's alright. Because upon the first like half a second, they will be confused. They're like, oh, where are you? And then you shoot them, it's kind of like a 3, 4, 5 shots in. Right. So invis, generally you want to just escape, get to a better position, or you can shoot if you're playing aggressive. Now silence, well, you spell block. As I've said before, you want to try to land it as much as possible. But you can try and save it for if an enemy, you know an enemy has ulti, say Sirius has this insane ulti, right? You can just land the silence on them, and when they cancelled, and well, basically you have like barely any charges left. Or no charges, I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, so you can save it for big ults, big channeling ults like those, or you can just use it whatever and just shoot them. It works pretty well. You just get close to them, silence them, shoot them. Can't do anything, get a few free shots in, and after that, if you think you need to escape, just run away with yourself. Pretty simple. And of course, you can use it in conjunction with root. Right? So what you generally want to do, if you're going to use that combo, is you shoot them a few times, you root them, then you silence, and you shoot. Actually, in fact, you can root them, take a few shots in, then shoot them again. Right? Because people don't react that fast. And if they do react that fast, then too bad, they're fucking insane. You can't win against them ever. You get a few shots in, root, they're confused, silence, then you shoot again. Right. So this is how you work that combo. Yeah, silence is pretty good. And then you have your junk shot. Junk shot, the knockback distance depends on how far away you are from the target. So we'll go into paint to illustrate this. Paint, yeah. So this is the cone, right? Boop, boop, boop. So anywhere on this line, right? Enemies still get damaged by your junk shot, but they don't get knocked back. Now, anywhere beyond that point, well, behind that point, anywhere behind that point, they will get knocked back. But the distance varies. Okay, I'll just scribble it real fast. Anywhere in this area, they will get knocked back, right? Now, the knockback distance is determined by how far away are they from you. So this is the center point. Let's make it red. This is the center point, right? This is the distance between you, that's you, Jade, and that's the enemy. Oh, enemy, say the enemy is here right now, right? you knock them back from here, they will get the max distance. They will go all the way back to outside your junk shot damage range. But if they're anywhere in between, say like here, closer to you than if it was in the center, or further away from you than if it was in the center, they will get knocked back to around this distance. Basically right on the edge of your junk shot range. Right? That's how the distance varies. Now we'll demonstrate that. So this is about the middle, right? They will get maximum distance away from you. Okay, that was not the middle. That's about the middle. Maximum distance away from you. Generally, you won't be able to damage them if you do it right. Like that. But if you were closer to them, before, and they will still be within range. You can even see it, it's still in the cone. The same goes for if you are really far away from them. They will still be within range of hit. So the ideal distance is around the middle, where the end result distance between you and the target will be the furthest apart. Even though technically, right, you're pushing your target more distance if you were closer to them, like that, pushing them further away, dealing 18 damage. Wow, so good. But the end distance between you and the target is what's important. You only use the skill if you need to gain distance between you and your target. So yeah, it's not about the damage. You want to maximize the distance between you and the target at the end. So you want to hit them generally when they're in the middle of your jump shot. Right. So if someone's chasing you, generally they'll follow you. You can sidestep, which creates like an angle where if you think of the triangle, right? The hypotenuse is always longer. So yeah, you do that. You sidestep it and you jump shot at maximum distance. Now, for ultis, you can use it to detect invis targets, that's cool and all that. Yeah. That's pretty much it for the skill interactions. Now for Battlerite. Generally, this is build where you can follow that will work against any lineup. It's just evasion, concussion bomb, outlaw, and then whatever for the last two. Pick whatever you need for the last two. It's the safest build, it works against any lineup, and the playstyle of that is just kite around. Use your escape skills only when it's necessary, and you just keep kiting the enemy. And then there's the aggressive build. Two types of aggressive build. The one that I like is Desperado into either Concussion Bomb or Through the Shadows, and then into Outlaw. Or sometimes Deadly Focus if I get into like long range skirmish situations a lot. So I'll show you. Bam, 16 shots. It's actually insane. It's 48 damage instantly in the burst. And generally, highest health pool of a hero is what, 250. That's 1/5 of their health pool gone in a matter of like less than 1 second. Yeah, that's pretty insane. And they're silenced. They can't do anything. If you aim properly, you will land 8 shots. They'll die. Well, they won't die, but they'll take a lot of damage. And the reason I say you could pick Through the Shadows is because if you land it, you go invis, you still get 12 shots, even though you kinda use your silence duration. You get into a better position, like closer to them, or in front of where they're running, and you can land the 12 shots very easily. We can just take Concussion Bomb because it's very good in general. 0.75 seconds stun is very long, it's an AoE. Right. And the last one, you pick Outlaw or Deadly Focus. I don't know, Deadly Focus is really situational. As I've said before, you only pick it when you get into long range skirmishers. Otherwise, Outlaw is just too good. It's like a 22%, 23% more uptime on your escape skill that stuns and generates energy on multiple targets. So yeah, this is kind of a must take. And of course you can go for the Gunslinger, plus 2 the Shadows build. Move around a lot and invis very fast. And you go into invis a lot more than usual. Okay, cooldown now. Go into invis a lot more than usual. And because basically every 6 shots, every 1 round of left click you do reduces your invis cooldown by 2 seconds. It's pretty good, but I don't think it's the optimal build. You either go for material or you go super aggressive and go for Desperado. Right, now the Battlerites that don't generally get taken, Hunting Instinct. Yeah, sure, Hunting Instinct gives you cooldown reduction on multiple targets hit. Right? Usually it's 6 second cooldown if I hit 3 targets. It'll be 1.5 second cooldown. Yeah, sure, that's cool. But generally, you'll be happy by just hitting 1 target. And half the time you don't hit a target because they either counter it, or reflect it, or absorb it, or you have to just basically cancel it. Right? If you miss a shot, you don't get the benefit. So it's not good. It's not as, the benefit of the Battlerite is not as reliable as the other 2, which is why you generally don't pick it. But if you're feeling adventurous, then yeah, sure, go ahead and pick it. Cool, whatever. And Delight. Okay, here's why Delight is not chosen. Because this gives you more damage, which is what you should be doing. It's a DPS. Even though you don't get the benefit if you miss your snipe, the potential of more damage is more appealing than the heal of 16 health, right? And this gives you more survivability than 16 HP. The 20 something percent increase in your escape skill, the uptime of your escape skill, means you can dodge more damage. Dodging damage is basically the equivalent of not taking damage. It's actually better because you don't lose max HP if you dodge the damage. So in that sense, in the survival sense, this is better. Now, onto other reasons why disabling shot Delight is not good. Is if you have a healer and the healer is not bad, then your healer will just heal you. 16 health is nothing. Any healer can heal past that 16 health, which is the basic heal. 14 with 8 over 4 seconds. And fucking, I don't know, this guy. 14 straight up. And then there's Pearl, this heals you for 21. Yeah. Why would you need the light? You just don't take it. No, you just don't. And if you're playing, say, okay, maybe you're like, oh yeah, we don't have heals on our team. That 16 health might actually come in handy. No. If you're playing with a tank, someone that dives, you might as well just go aggressive with them by taking either of these 2 and just jumping in and do damage and burst the enemy down before they can burst you down. Or if you're playing with another long range sniper-ish character like Ashka, then obviously taking this is better, because you 2 will be kiting around and just taking pot shots, right? You can do 6 more damage. That's 6 less max HP they have. That's pretty good, yeah? So you don't take Delight. This is why you don't take Delight. Hunting Instinct is like whatever, if somehow you can make it work, then sure. But Delight in general just doesn't work. And then of course the round 4 Battlerites is situational. If you want more energy so you can use the roots, yeah, then sure, use that. And if you want to be able to fight with enemy melee champions better, say the sheep who's chasing you and you can move 10% faster, you might just be able to get out of this attack range, which is pretty good. Dodge a lot of damage. And Slayer, if your team really needs damage, like you're playing against a Pearl and the Pearl took ages, then yeah, you'll need Slayer. And, well, you can't tell if the Pearl takes ages or not, but picking Slayer in general, it's basically you committing to your DPS role. So all 3 of them are fine. It's personal preference, a little bit of personal preference plus situational. And then the last one is complete personal preference. It doesn't really matter. This one gives you more kill potential. This one makes you less vulnerable while you channeling your ulti. But in general, when you use your ulti, people run the fuck out. Like, it's just, they're not gonna stand in it. They're gonna run away from you, so generally they won't be hitting you. And if they're running away, then yeah, I guess shrapnel is slightly better. The snare will help.
Time's up.
But they will dodge. Most people will dodge your skills with iframe. So the snare won't land anyway. Even if you land one, it's probably like the third or fourth shot, or on the first shot, and then they will dodge it with iframe. So it doesn't really matter that much. So yeah, that's basically it for Battlerite. How to play in general. So there are 3 types of heroes: healers, melee divers, and range heroes that does DPS. Right, against range hero that does DPS, if you have the HP advantage and cooldown advantage, say they used one of their escape skills, and you haven't used any, you can feel free to dive in, shoot them, silence them, and play really aggressive on them. Right. If you have the HP advantage, you can trade better. If they die and you don't die, it turns into a 3v2 or 2v1, then it's great. It's good. It's good. But if you have less HP, then in general you want to just try and land snipes, intimidate them, control the orb. Since your snipe does 38 damage, you're one of the best last hitters, if not the best last hitters on the orb. And it's a penetrating shot, so if the orb is like 25 HP left, you will still be able to get it. Say this dummy is the orb, right? Well, it says 25 damage, but somehow it still has 1 HP left. I don't know why, but like this, 22 HP orb, and someone standing in front of it trying to block your shot, it doesn't matter. It will still penetrate through them and get the orb. So when play around the orb, use your range, your snipe to your advantage. Right. Now against melee heroes, you want to save your escapes for dodging their dives. If you can dodge the dives and they run out of mobility skills to chase you, you can abuse your range and shoot them for free, get energy charges and all that. They will generally have to run. And then once they run, you can intimidate them with a snipe, and you can go around controlling the orb. Right? And then, if you're really good, say a crook goes up against you, if you can land your silence on his first jump, he won't be able to recast it again. He basically loses one of his mobility skills. And during the time that he's silenced, because generally when crook jumps, they will try to lip click, and that's a spell. So if they jump, you land your silence, they will get silenced, and you get free shots in, he doesn't get a second jump, he's fucked up. And after that, you can just basically just invis away, or jump away if he's right next to you. Damage him, gain energy, and gain distance. It's good. Against the Shifu, you want to be careful though. If he counters your left click, which happens really often because it's really hard to control your left click, he counters your left click, gets behind you, he will get immaterial for 1 second. So during that, you cannot stun him with your spacebar. So you will not get energy charges or do damage to him, or stun him for 0.25 seconds. So if you accidentally trigger the Shifu counter, wait for it, you will get material, and then you jump. Generally, Shifus, even if they time it really well, they won't time it that well to be able to dodge a stun. And if they use their material, their spacebar material to dodge a stun, you can feel free to just go invis afterwards and start fighting him. Because without the material, Shifu's man fight is not that good, even though his right click does a lot of damage. And after that, you can silence him and can't attack you. It's pretty insane. Also, another point, if Shifu hooks into you, he has iframe when he's jumping upon landing his hook. He has an iframe. So landing your silence won't work when he just lands it on you. You need to make sure he landed in front of you and is able to start attacking you, then you use your silence. He gets silence, get free shot on him, and just before the silence ends, he would usually be right next to you, then you spacebar away. Right. And that's kind of how it works with all the other melee champions. And for champions with counters, like Shifu or Bako as a reflect, you wanna bait out their counter or reflect with your snipe. Just keep that in mind, okay? And then against support heroes, you wanna just, if you get a chance, if their tank or the DPS is not next to the support hero, you jump in and you fuck them up, right? You don't need to think twice, just jump in quick. There's no reason to not do that. Support heroes can't do as much damage as DPS, that's why they're support heroes. And if they're healing themselves instead of their teammates, then they're not really doing their job properly, and your teammates can fuck their DPS up while you fuck their support up. It's just really good. Just jump the enemy supports if they have one, and you get a chance to. Land your silence, and they're basically gone. And even better, generally after you jump, you land your first revolver shots, and you land your silence, you will get enough energy to use a root. You root them, you do more damage. It's pretty good, yeah? So this is how you play against the different types of heroes. Play around the orb, as usual, is how all the heroes should play. And yeah, it's basically how you play Jade. You kite around and play aggressive when you have the advantage. There you go.